All right, welcome to Urban Odyssey Video, where we chase the shadows of truth. Tonight, we are cracking open a confession from 1908 that's been all but forgotten. But listen, this isn't just some dusty old document. It's literally the playbook for a massive conspiracy, one that went all the way to the top of American power. This is the blueprint for how a shadow state can just loot a nation's resources right out in the open, and we're going to lay out every single step.
And this isn't just a quote. You have to understand it's a prophecy. The ringleader himself, a guy named Stephen Pewter, he knew the whole scheme was getting too big, way too brazen. He wrote that the end was plainly inevitable. I mean, that's a warning from the past, telling us that a crime this huge, it can't stay buried forever.
So, how do you steal an entire forest? Well, it turns out you write the manual. This source, this confession, it's a step-by-step guide. Pewter laid it all out in excruciating detail, how his whole syndicate pulled off the systematic theft of America's public lands. It was a massive conspiracy, all designed for one thing: turning national forests into private fortunes.
And you gotta get this. This wasn't some one-time job, oh no. It was a sinister, repeatable formula. They perfected this method for twisting legal loopholes and exploiting desperate people. They turned the very laws that were supposed to help homesteaders into a weapon for the super wealthy.
Okay, so here's how the scheme actually worked. It's pretty grim. Pewter's agents would literally hang around sailor boarding houses, just looking for guys who were down on their luck. For a couple of bucks, they'd get them to sign a stack of papers they couldn't even read. And just like that, these guys became dummy entrymen, basically ghosts on paper, unknowingly claiming huge, valuable tracts of timberland for the syndicate.
And the scale of this, it's just staggering. We are talking about 30,000 acres in a single deal, sold to one millionaire, C.A. Smith. Let that sink in. 30,000 acres. That's an area almost two-thirds the size of Washington, D.C., all of it, stolen using this ghost entryman trick.
Now, a scheme this massive doesn't just work on its own. It needs protection, right? Protection from the inside. This was never just a couple of crooks out in the woods. The conspiracy's tentacles, they had to reach all the way from the local land offices right into the halls of Congress. And this is a classic shadow state in action. The very people meant to be the watchdogs, the federal land agents, they were on the payroll. Pewter actually details paying one agent $500 just to write a favorable report. Any government investigations? Sabotaged from the inside. The system wasn't just broken, it was completely, totally captured. But see, bribing local agents could only get them so far. To really make the scheme untouchable, to speed up all those fake land patents, Pewter needed more. He needed someone with real power. He needed a man in Washington.
$2,000, that was the price. Back in 1902, that's what it cost to buy a United States senator from Oregon. Today, that's over $60,000. And for that price, Senator John H. Mitchell became the syndicate's inside man in the U.S. government.
And get this, the absolute audacity of it. According to Pewter's confession, it's right there on page 67. When he slid $2,000 bills across the table, Senator Mitchell actually pushed one back. He says, "Mr. Pewter, you cannot afford to pay me such an amount as this. It was all for show, a performance." Pewter insisted, of course, and the senator took the whole $2,000.
So this chart kind of lays out the whole crew, the network. You've got Pewter, the mastermind running the show, C.A. Smith, the millionaire buyer bankrolling the whole thing, C.E. Loomis, the corrupt federal agent on the ground doing the dirty work, and then Senator Mitchell, their political cover in Washington. It was a complete top-to-bottom operation of corruption.
But, just like Pewter himself predicted, a conspiracy this bold, well, it can't last forever. Federal investigators, the real ones this time, started closing in. The pressure was on, and you know that whole honor among thieves thing? Yeah, that just evaporated. The powerful men who built this whole empire started looking around for someone to take the fall.
And who do you think they chose? Pewter. In 1904, he gets convicted. But his powerful friends, the millionaire and the senator, poof, they vanished. They left him to rot in jail. And that was a huge mistake, because a year later, a very vengeful Pewter walks into a grand jury room and brings the entire house of cards crashing down. His testimony is what directly led to the conviction of a sitting U.S. senator. You can just feel the pure rage in these words. This wasn't about doing the right thing. This was about revenge. He basically warned his old partners, "You're all going down because of what you did to me."
He blew the lid off the entire shadow network for one reason. They betrayed him.
So why are we digging all this up? I mean, it's a 100-year-old crime, right? Well, because the ghosts of this conspiracy, they never really left. The methods, the playbook that Puder wrote down, they didn't die with him. They just evolved.
The playbook is exactly the same. It just has a modern corporate gloss on it. Dummy entrymen are now anonymous shell corporations. Bags of cash are now perfectly legal campaign donations and lobbying efforts. And exploiting lax oversight, we just call that regulatory capture now. The game hasn't changed at all, just the names of the players. So let's just recap the bombshells from this one forgotten book. You've got a literal how-to guide for defrauding the public. You have proof that federal agents and a U.S. senator were on the take. And you have the fact that the whole thing only blew up because one criminal got his revenge. Insane.
And believe me, we've only scratched the surface here. The original confession is packed with more names, more schemes, more chilling details. The full story shows a web of corruption that goes even deeper than what we've been able to show you here.
So what's your take? Is this just some forgotten story from the history books, or is it a timeless warning about how power really works? Let us know.
And we'll leave you with this question. A confession exposed the corruption. A senator went to jail. The public was outraged. But when you look at the world today, you really have to ask yourself, was the rot ever truly cut out, or did it just learn how to hide in plain sight?